2016 has been a memorable year for Kenya and the world. Here at KTN News, we've taken you to the front lines of the biggest events of the year, from breaking news to news features to investigative reports and world-class documentaries. And now, as we come to the close of the year, it's time to take stock and remind ourselves of the most memorable moments of 2016. My name is Sharon Momanyi, and welcome to Replay. Let's begin with that story that made us want to bring out our bicycles. Now, in April, Mashirima Kapombe took us to Kakamega County, where the girls from Mahanga Secondary School were riding their bicycles to success. Now, a donation of 100 bicycles saw the girls improve their academic performance and raised their self-esteem. Let's ride down back memory lane.
As early as 6 a.m., students arrive at the Friends School Mahanga in Kakamega County on bicycles that have now become the talk of the village, 6 months since they were distributed to the students.
Zimepromote sana shule yetu. Kwa leo nikitembea kule wakiona baiskeli wanasema hizi baiskeli za Mahanga K. Tupeleke watoto wetu kule.
The bicycles have done more than raise enrollment of students in the school. Students from underprivileged families, those who have undergone abuse, and those who are pregnant were the biggest beneficiaries.
They are motivated to get the bicycles because now they will be able to attend to the babies even after delivery, and also come to school on time.
Most of the students walk 5 to 8 kilometers to and from school every day. In their weakness, there were those who took advantage.
Sasa tuko tunakutana na hiyo pikipiki ananileta mpaka hapa shule.
Alikuwa akinisindikisha akiniambia maneno mengine msuru tu. Sasa alikuwa niambia hivyo, mimi nikasema siwezi kumwacha kwa sababu alikuwa anipatia ngeli.
In such instances, the girls form relationship with boda riders and fellow students, causing early pregnancies. The riders, however, say not all of them are to blame.
Pia pepe mwanafunzi elimishe yeye asome, kesho ndiye yeye ndiye atakusaidia. Pia yeye bado ataambiwa watoto yako ni iko hivi iko na hivi. Soma. Baba yako ndio ananipepa ama mimi niko nakupepa, ni sawa tu. Bado sasa atakuwa nakuelimisha.
Apart from helping them stay in school, the administrators say the bicycles have raised the girls' self-esteem and improved their performance.
Ni wengi sana wananisumbua. Unajua natoka mbali, sasa unawapata kwa njia na kusumbua. Lakini saa hii hakuna mwenye anisumbua. Juu hata nikiwapata kwa njia mimi nitawapita straight kama nimeenda.
917 bicycles have so far been distributed to 7 schools in Kakamega County by World Bicycle Relief in partnership with World Vision. The boys are, however, not left out, as 30% of the bicycles are distributed to them, while 70% are for the girls.
In a household where there are 2 students, a boy and a girl, the boy will wake up in the morning, get ready for school and come to school, but the girl will have to do some few chores at home so that she follows the boy to school.
And as the girl is empowered, the boys too learn something about how to be gentlemen.
We even tell the boys that whenever there is a girl who is coming the same direction as them, they are supposed to carry the girls to the school.
Close to 6 months since 100 bicycles landed at the Friends School Mahanga in the county of Kakamega, the girls say that the bicycles help them get to school early and they get home in time. Also, the bicycles not only keep the men away, they help them stay in school. Mashirima Kapombe. Mashirima Kapombe, KTN News, Mahanga in the county of Kakamega.
As more opportunities opened up for the girl child in some parts of the country, the struggle for equality remained. The effects of female genital mutilation and early marriages on girls and women cannot be underestimated. From the county of West Pokot, KTN's Dorcas Wangira highlighted an untold story on the stubborn taboo, that of a young boy striving to save his sister from the cut. Even in the heart of Kongelai, a humble village in West Pokot County, disparities between the rich and the poor are visible. For the poorer households, wealth is in family and the simple pleasures of life. This is especially the case for Edwin Lopus. He at first strikes us as an average teenager. His ambition is to become a pilot, to improve life for his people. But there are more pressing concerns weighing him down. One of his sisters, barely 13 years old, endured female genital mutilation. She was shortly after married off. He rarely gets to see her. Their mother, who's a widow, narrates the harrowing agreement, which was shrouded in secrecy.
Lakini sasa watu ya Mungu akasema hivi, ukileta askari hapa na wewe ni mtu ya palingine, ujui tutafanyia wewe nini.
This is just the beginning of Edwin's dilemma. His younger sister is 4 years old and she's on the queue to undergo FGM. Their mother is unable to fend for both children, so the younger girl is left with her grandmother. Edwin tells us he wants to save his sister from the practice and send her to boarding school.
Ni mtoto mdogo, hiyo ni mbaya sana. Kwa mimi nakataa maneno kama hiyo.
Edwin has rallied some of the other boys to campaign against FGM.
Tunakaanga tunazungumza maneno, sababu tukiona mali wanatairi wasichana tuna report kwa chief ama kwa IP.
Most of the time, it is women and girls who are at the forefront in the fight against FGM. But what would happen if boys from an early age became aware of the consequences of the cut? This is Seroa Primary School, and in this class, we begin to answer that question.
A class begins for mostly teenage boys. They are learning about the effects of FGM in early marriage, what it does to girls and the entire community. Today, the lesson is audiovisual. A film takes them through the motions, the enabling beliefs, the harrowing consequences, the impact. All the time, their reactions show a younger generation of boys that can empathize, turn away.
Ni tamaduni za nyuma, lakini sasa kwangu mimi ni mimi.
Kenye nikasirisha ni ile msichana anaolewa kama baada yako mdogo, then haisi maliza masomo yake.
Michael Osekwang has been a teacher at this school for 2 years. His biggest worry is that come next term, the enrollment of the girls will drastically drop after the holidays.
Shikadau wote wangeshirikiana waelimishe wazazi na watoto wetu kule nje pia itatusaidia.
Edwin knows he's not alone. He believes boy soldiers like him will become the men who will make important decisions. Dorcas Wangira, KTN News, West Pokot County. And now we go to Lamu County, to the renowned tourist destination of Lamu Island. Now, about 5 years ago, the island was a target of terror incidents, mostly involving the abductions of foreign tourists. Travel advisories then led to low tourist numbers and a harsh economic time in the island. But now, the island is slowly regaining its glory. Just last month, it hosted the Lamu Cultural Festival, which drew up to 150,000 domestic and foreign tourists. Now, I was there myself, and for the dreamy beauty that this island is, it is one that you must plan to visit. Here now is the story, Lamu Rising. When one comes to Lamu, you are promised of the beauty that the Swahili island has to offer. But what you would not expect is the very inspiring stories of the people that live in Lamu. Well, we got to experience some of them.
My nickname is Captain I'll Be Back. I got this name, Captain I'll Be Back. That is all based on my background in school, yeah? School was like, no, I don't want to do schooling. So half day, I go there early morning, I go to school, I read there, then like around lunchtime, I jump the fence, I walk back to Shela. So because I was doing it almost every day, so the head teacher sometime used to see me walking, going back to Shela, and he used to ask me, where are you going? I say, I'll be back. So whenever he goes to the class, he will ask my classmate, where is I'll be back?
Captain I'll be back then followed his passion and began a transfer business on the island. He owns a fleet of boats.
So I have I'll be back 2, TOO, I'll be back soon, I'll be back for you on my way. So then now, collectively, I call it Lamu Uber, yeah.
But for the last 5 years, business has not been good for Captain I'll be back and the many other entrepreneurs and hoteliers on Lamu Island who rely on tourism as a main source of income.
Tulikuwa hatuna biashara. Wageni wengi pia walikuwa hawatembei Lamu. Kulikuwa na hofu ya wageni kufika katika kaunti ya Lamu kwa sababu ya hilo tendo la kigaidi ambalo lilitekelezwa. Na hivi sasa kuna tofauti kubwa kwa sababu tuna watu tofauti ambao wanajaribu kuboresha hii Lamu.
5 years ago, the Lamu archipelago witnessed a series of kidnappings of foreign tourists that led to several Western countries issuing travel advisories against the island.
You see, tourism is our main pillar. Fishermen, when hotels are full, whatever they catch, they're able to sell. Our farmers are able to grow and sell. You see, now it's quiet. But when tourism is high, all you see are boats and dhows passing up and down. So all these guys get jobs.
But like a fire phoenix, the island seems to be coming back from the ashes. This year's edition of the famous Lamu Cultural Festival has drawn up to 150,000 local and international tourists, a big boost to business on the islands as well as a show of renewed confidence and sense of security in the area. France and America lifted their travel advisories against Lamu. A further boost to tourism in the area was the U.S. Ambassador Robert Godek's 2-day presence during the festival.
It's wonderful to be back here. It is such a beautiful part of Kenya. You have such extraordinary islands, the mainland, everything, and particularly the people of Lamu, very warm and welcoming.
The whole world, and Kenya included, is dealing with big issues at the moment, which is terrorism. It's more and more clear now that it's something we have to live with.
A lot of positive developments. One, this lifting of the sanction by the travel advisory by France.
And as Lamu Island is slowly getting back to its feet, other tourist destinations such as Malindi are still reeling from the negative effects that terrorist acts in the country have had on tourism. Farid Nizar is the general manager of the Sai Eden Rock Hotel in Malindi.
We see that there's a lot of Westerners around. If you go shopping somewhere, you find them around, but you go within the hotels, they're not staying in the hotels. They are basically staying in private villas which are being rented overseas by the owners. This is affecting us. The government is not helping us on this side.
The hope of the residents and entrepreneurs is that the fear wrought by terrorism would be defied, that many would venture out to share in the beauty and heritage of these renowned destinations. Sharon Momanyi, KTN News, Lamu County. They are among the frontier pastoralist communities tucked between Kenya and Ethiopia. The Dasanach have for a long time remained secluded, their language and culture even baffling their neighbors on both sides of the borders. Now they speak a Cushitic tongue, but historians link them to the Pokot of northwestern Kenya. Mark Namaswa toured the region on the Kenyan-Ethiopian border and found the community in the midst of marriage proposal activities.
Northern Kenya is dry, windy and sandy, but cultures have thrived here. Farther north of the eastern shores of Lake Turkana, we get wind of a small community called the Dasanach. Vehicles are rare here, and if one shows up, you do anything to get on board. Finally, these goats and tin-roofed manyatas inform us we have arrived in Ileret village, the bastion of the Dasanach in Samburu County. It is a season for marriage arrangements, and we bump into the Kerisas. One of their daughters, Laini Kerisa, has found a suitor. Kiswahili or English are rarely spoken here, and Mzee Julius Korbo comes to our aid.
Iko karama kubwa sana. Ng'ombe karibu 10 tunamaliza. Mbuzi kwanza ini 100 na kitu tunamaliza kwa dunia ile ambaye anakuja hapa.
Laini is ready to be booked for marriage, but first she has to join her age mates, also barely 14, in a customary dance. Ostrich feathers are placed on the heads of prospective brides before the dance. Jingles are attached to the bride's scarves, ready for the dance.
Ukununua shanga ya kichwa, alafu baadaye unanunua hii, baadaye hii saa unatengenezwa, ndio sasa mafasi ya msichana.
The Korbo insists proposals do not automatically mean marriages, but for an outsider, verifying such information is a challenge.
Inaweza kufika mwaka 14, 15 kuendelea mbele namna hiyo, ndio naweza kuolewa.
Dasanach boys of about 16 typically identify a girl and let their parents do the rest of the work.
Hiyo ng'ombe ni mingi sana, hata naweza kufika 40 au 30. Lakini si siku moja.
Bride price is often shared amongst the father-in-law's brothers.
Kama wadugu, wewe unakula mkono 5. Huyu ni 6, mimi bengine 7. Huyu msee bengine ni 5. Namna hiyo tu.
The Dasanach not only circumcise their boys, but girls are also thrown into the mix via female genital mutilation. It is illegal, but such isolated communities find it easy to elude the arm of the law. The Dasanach have long complained of being ignored by both the Kenyan and Ethiopian governments. In 1939, they attracted the wrath of the British Royal Air Force, who pounded their area after the Dasanach collaborated with the Inyangatom community in a raid against the Turkana at a time Ethiopia was under the reign of Emperor Haile Selassie. Today, the Dasanach boasts of only one MCA representing Ileret Ward. Like any other community living in a hardship zone, the Dasanach children start adapting to tough nomadic lifestyles from a tender age. Despite being one of the smallest communities on the Kenyan-Ethiopian border, the Dasanach remain some of the few communities still maintaining their roots and culture, even in the 21st century. Mark Namaswa, KTN News, Ileret Village, Marsabit County.
Unlike the classic example of a young girl looking to escape poverty by marrying into a rich family, Maria Antonia dos Santos' dreams of escaping poverty turned into a nightmare, as Elvis Kosgei highlighted in this story.
Sababu, a light complexion on her face gives a vivid distinction that she is no ordinary local from Kongoni area, Likuyani constituency in Kakamega County. But her native home is thousands of miles away, Penedo, Brazil. A visit at her place reveals a miserable life that Maria Antonia Barbosa dos Santos from Penedo area in Brazil lives along with her husband. Their land, which was previously 1 acre, was drastically reduced to 1/10 due to financial constraints. On the table is ugali leftovers, which they are taken accompanied by a strong tea for breakfast. Seated next to her is her husband, who is suffering from stroke on his left side, gazing silently at us without uttering any word. Down at the table are a stack of drugs, an indication that both are ailing. Maria narrates how she came to Kenya, courtesy of certain German national who wanted her to work as a house help. And that is how she met her husband while working as a house help in Nairobi. He was a gardener and also a messenger.
Nakuja na msungu German
ukuwa na watoto wanne, mapacha wawili na hizi mapacha ukuwa na miezi 2 na wasichana wawili, moja miaka 7 na ingine miaka 11.
But her stay in Nairobi turned sorrowful as she came face to face with brutality. The man of the house was violent and on several occasions abused her.
Sisi nafanya 75, 76, msungu anaanza kuchapa mimi. Wenzi mimi natoka nje na watoto wenda kutembea na hawa mapacha miaka 3.
Her radiant smile covers her face, hiding the tribulations she has undergone since she left for Kenya. The current situation is more harrowing than her experience she had in Brazil while living with her family.
Si kuwa rafiki na msungu. Mimi kuwa rafiki na mzee yangu, mtu ya kwanza kwa mzee yangu. Hakuna mtu mimi nafanyia rafiki.
We managed to get their only daughter, Christine Masha, who now works at a neighbor's shamba, at least to secure something for her ailing parents.
At least najaribu kutafuta pesa wenye watasurvive hata kama ni madawa na machakula.
Niko na HIV, niko na answers, niko na pressure.
Maria, who speaks fluent Brazil native language, German, Bukusu and Swahili, has tried severally to reach Brazil embassy in vain. As the saying goes, when life gives you lemon, you make a lemonade out of it. To Maria Antonia Barbosa dos Santos, she may be down but not out. Elvis Kosgei, KTN News in Kongoni, Kakamega County.
Since the airing of that story, good tidings came her way, and Maria Antonia dos Santos managed to go back home in Brazil. How about we cross borders now to West Africa, where our managing editor Joe Ageo brings us the story of chiefs in Ghana. This is a unique story of culture, one that involves chiefs and cultural tunes. Take a look.
In the middle of Accra City in Ghana, an international conference gets underway. The president is rising to give his speech. But outside, the frantic drummers cannot take a break. They are part of a long-running tradition, whose epicenter is the powerful institution of the chieftaincy. And the heirs of the long line of royals are accorded all the places of honor, even at this presidential function, all resplendent in their traditional regalia.
It cuts across various ethnic groups, the Akan, the Ewe, the Inchumuru, and the other northern Ghana tribes.
But you don't get the full picture of this elaborate traditional arrangement until you travel north. Here too, the traditional is coming face to face with the modern. These dancers come from different chiefdoms. They are lining up to welcome their respective chiefs at the function. On occasions like this, sons and daughters of every chiefdom work overtime to put up the best show for their royal.
They are not politically aligned. You don't elect them, and the government doesn't appoint them. They are hereditary institutions. They hold a special place in the culture of the society, and therefore people respect them for that. Increasingly, they are also very educated people, accomplished individuals who occupy this space.
Traditional instrumentalists falling over themselves to satisfy the demands of tradition. And when they finally take their seats, they are not even allowed to feel hot, each one with his own human fan.
With a high-powered team.
And even when the vice president of the country is on his feet, The royals have no qualms making a dramatic entry. But one of the chiefs is particularly noticeable. His convoy is visibly larger, his reception grander. Notice how they squat as he prepares to come down from the big machine. This is Nabolagu Mohami Abdullahi Sherega, the overlord of the Mamprogu Kingdom, one of the oldest such institutions in Ghana. The following day, we set out for Mamprogu traditional area to see the king and the kingdom at work. Outside the palace, the national flag flies high. An elder receives us to the palace. And the drama goes to work, summoning the council of chiefs to the palace. Inside, our guide parts with an envelope. He says no one comes before the king empty-handed. In a single file, we enter the palace, the chiefs leading the way. The setting inside is a curious clash between the traditional and the modern. Tiny huts dot the compound. An antiquated fireplace here, some millet over there. But atop the king's lounge rests a dish. Even the royal has to be in touch with the outside world. And when the king, or the Nairi as is known here, finally arrives, the salutation is one of a kind. And everyone has to be treated to some kola nut, a tradition that runs across much of West Africa. But the Nairi says his office is more than just the custodian of the culture and heritage of the Mamprusi tribe of northern Ghana and Togo.
So far as Mamprogu is concerned, this is the Supreme Court of Mamprogu. We settle whatever issues that are related to Mamprogu, we try to solve them here.
The inhabitants of Mamprogu Kingdom are known as the Mamprusi. There are an estimated 450,000 of them living in Ghana and approximately 11,000 in Togo. It is the only kingdom in present-day Ghana whose relevance and authority still cuts across national boundaries. The Nairi has been in office since 2004, during which period his kingdom has survived many odds. The 80-year-old king is a great traditionalist, but his smartphone is never far away. A sizable TV set sits in the corner of his lounge, and the room is kept cool by way of all kinds of modern conveniences. Outside, someone has to keep the horses well fed all day. They are the mark of true royalty here.
The horse is a symbol of authority. About here, it is part and parcel of the tradition. The Nairi must have a horse.
The Nairi has 14 wives, each with at least one hut. He has nearly 100 children and several times more grandchildren.
At the end of the farming season, a community can get bundles of grain and bring to the Nairi. And even when they bring it, they don't even say, get and feed your people. They say, get and give to your horse.
Now, in the face of a fast-changing society, the tenacity of this institution of the chieftaincy is simply amazing. And going by how importantly this position is still held in this society, there is every indication that the chieftaincy is here to stay.
The quality of the chiefs differ. When you have a developmental-minded, equity-oriented chief, you will find change. That even when land is acquired and resources are generated, they will be put into enhancing the schools, improving the quality of hospitals, and so on and so forth. But when you have a greedy chief, a self-centered chief, then you have an autocrat.
In political times, aspirants fight hard to get the slightest endorsement of these men, even though they try to remain above partisan politics. Even development workers now know they cannot do without this age-old institution.
we have a culture that depends so much on our chiefs. We have situations, especially in this part of the country, where the chiefs speak for the people. So it's very good to put them up front and get their commitment in what we are doing. And also when it comes to investment and acquisition of land, and the chiefs are the main people you have to engage.
The chieftaincy structure may be taking a beating from the pressures of modern times, but it still remains a highly coveted job, occasionally sparking violent clashes.
You know, when that inheritance cycle is disrupted at some point, it can generate a lot of violence. So about 15 years ago or so, you know, the chief, when the chief died, then the inheritance cycle, there was contestation over it. So somebody inherited. There was a major war in which the incumbent was assassinated.
At the end of our visit, the send-off package on its 4 feet is on hand. No one leaves the palace empty-handed, they say, completing the picture of generosity in a kingdom where no one is supposed to go hungry. The Nairi hopes to live many more years, and when he finally joins his ancestors, one of his sons from this palace will take over to continue a long tradition of royals that is now fighting hard to find its place in a fast-changing Ghana. Jogeyo, KTN News, in northern Ghana.
Tunes in Ghana is where we wrap up this edition of Replay. We have more episodes lined up for you this month, so I'll be seeing you. My name is Sharon Momanyi. Happy holidays.